Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. In just the past few days, America has bid farewell to some truly extraordinary individuals, legends whose influence has shaped our culture, inspired countless lives, and will continue to echo through generations. Today, we pay tribute to their remarkable journeys, celebrate their timeless achievements, and reflect on the legacies they've left behind. If their stories have ever touched your heart, I invite you to honor them by liking this video, a small gesture to help keep their memory alive. Now, let's begin this heartfelt remembrance. Brandon Blackstock, a devoted father, respected music manager, and a man who lived with quiet dignity, passed away peacefully on August 7, 2025, at the age of 48. His departure followed a private, courageous 3-year battle with cancer, a journey he chose to walk with grace, shielding his loved ones from the weight of his suffering. His family confirmed his passing, sharing that he was surrounded by those he cherished most in his final moments. Just one day prior, Kelly Clarkson, his former wife and the mother of 2 of his children, announced her decision to step back from her Las Vegas residency to focus on River and Remington. Her words, "At this moment, I need to be fully present for them," echoed the enduring tenderness and mutual respect that continued to bind their family, even after separation. Brandon lived adjacent to fame, managing the careers of country music giants like Blake Shelton and contributing to the success of The Kelly Clarkson Show. Yet, he never sought the spotlight. His fulfillment came not from red carpets or headlines, but from the quiet, steady rhythm of family life. He was the kind of man who showed up, for school plays, for late-night talks, for the small moments that build a life. He leaves behind 4 children, Savannah, Seth, River, and Remington. In 2022, he became a grandfather when Savannah welcomed a son, a new chapter that brought him immense joy. To his children and grandchild, he wasn't a public figure. He was simply Dad. The one who made them laugh at rodeos, who stood behind them in hard times, whose presence alone could calm a storm. "He never needed to say much," one friend recalled. "You always knew he cared deeply." Brandon's legacy is not one of fame, but of presence. He was a man who understood that love is shown in consistency, in listening, in being there. As we honor his life, we remember not just who he was, but how he made others feel safe, seen, supported. On August 7, 2025, the world bid farewell to one of its greatest explorers. Jim Lovell, the legendary Apollo 13 commander whose calm leadership turned near-certain tragedy into one of NASA's most celebrated triumphs, passed away in Lake Forest, Illinois, at the age of 97. His death marks the close of a chapter in human history, a story written among the stars, etched in the annals of space exploration, and carried in the hearts of those who watched him guide his crew safely back to Earth. In April 1970, as commander of Apollo 13, Lovell faced disaster when an oxygen tank exploded 200,000 miles from Earth. For 4 perilous days, he and his crew endured freezing temperatures, dwindling resources, and the looming threat of death. Yet through it all, Lovell's steady voice and decisive actions became a beacon of hope. His leadership was immortalized in the 1995 film Apollo 13, with Tom Hanks portraying him, a cinematic tribute to a real-life hero. But Lovell's journey began long before Apollo 13. He flew on Gemini 7, Gemini 12, Apollo 8, and Apollo 13, logging over 715 hours in space. In 1968, aboard Apollo 8, he and his crewmates became the first humans to orbit the moon. They captured the iconic Earthrise photo and read from Genesis on Christmas Eve, a moment that brought comfort to a nation in turmoil. Born on March 25, 1928, in Cleveland, Ohio, Lovell graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy in 1952 and married his beloved wife Marilyn on the same day. Their partnership endured through decades of adventure, challenge, and quiet joy. "I don't worry about crisis any longer," Lovell once said. "I could have been gone back in 1970. I'm still here." Though he never walked on the moon, a regret he carried with humility, his true legacy lies in triumph over adversity. His calm under unimaginable pressure earned him the Congressional Space Medal of Honor and the enduring respect of the American people. Jim Lovell's story reminds us that heroism is not about glory. It's about grace under fire, about guiding others through darkness with unwavering resolve. Loni Anderson, the glamorous and quick-witted actress who redefined television's portrayal of women, passed away on August 3, 2025, just days before her 80th birthday. She was 79. Her family confirmed her passing, sharing that she left this world after a long illness, surrounded by love. Born in St. Paul, Minnesota, Loni began her career in the 1960s, but it was her role as Jennifer Marlowe on WKRP in Cincinnati that made her a household name. As the smart, confident receptionist, she shattered stereotypes and earned 2 Emmy nominations and 3 Golden Globe nods. Her career spanned decades, with roles in Stroker Ace, voice work in All Dogs Go to Heaven, and a triumphant return in 2023 Ladies of the 80s, A Diva's Christmas. Off-screen, she was just as captivating, gracious, warm, and deeply loved by her peers. Barbara Eden, Morgan Fairchild, Tim Reid, and Tori Spelling shared heartfelt tributes, calling her darling, kind, and a true original. She leaves behind her husband, Bob Flick, her children, Quentin and Dedra, and her beloved grandchildren. To them, she wasn't just a star, she was a source of laughter, guidance, and unconditional love. Loni Anderson wasn't simply an actress, she was a presence. A symbol of grace, humor, and resilience. Her smile lit up screens, but her spirit lit up lives. If her roles, her warmth, or her legacy ever touched you, leave a heart in her memory. Her light lives on. Terry Reid, the British rock and soul virtuoso affectionately known as Super Lungs, passed away at the age of 75 after a courageous battle with cancer. Though never a chart-topping name, his artistry burned with an intensity that left legends in awe and fans forever changed. Born in Cambridgeshire, England, Reid's journey began in his teens. By 16, he was sharing stages with the Rolling Stones and Tina Turner. He was offered the frontman role for both Led Zeppelin and Deep Purple, opportunities that could have made him a global icon. But Terry said no. Not out of arrogance, but conviction. I was intent on doing my own thing, he later reflected. Instead, he recommended Robert Plant and John Bonham to Jimmy Page, decisions that shaped rock history. His 1973 album River remains a cult classic, full of haunting beauty and soulful grit. While mainstream success eluded him, his music became a hidden treasure. Aretha Franklin once said, "There are only 3 things happening in England, the Rolling Stones, the Beatles, and Terry Reid." That reverence never faded. From Jack White to Chris Cornell, generations of artists covered his songs, drawn to the raw emotion and honesty in every note. Even after his own spotlight dimmed, Terry's fingerprints were everywhere in sessions with Bonnie Raitt and Don Henley, collaborations with Dr. Dre, and guest appearances with DJ Shadow. He was a true artist's artist, choosing depth over fame and soul over spotlight. He is survived by his beloved wife, Annette, and his daughters, Kelly and Holly. He leaves behind more than a catalog of brilliance. He leaves a lesson in artistic courage. In a world obsessed with glory, Terry walked the quieter path and still shook the heavens. Jane Morgan, whose voice captivated audiences from Parisian nightclubs to Broadway theaters and into millions of living rooms, passed away peacefully in her sleep on August 4, 2025, at the age of 101. She was under hospice care in Naples, Florida, and her family shared that her final moments were gentle, much like the dignity she carried throughout her life. With more than 40 albums in 5 languages, Jane Morgan's grace and talent carried American music across oceans and generations. Her signature song, Fascination, enchanted the world in 1957 and still resonates today, a symbol of romantic nostalgia and vocal perfection. Born Florence Catherine Currier in Newton, Massachusetts, Jane grew up in a musical family and trained in opera at Juilliard. But her heart found its home in cabarets and clubs, first in Paris, where she became a sensation, and then back in the United States, where her television appearances became part of America's cultural fabric. She lit up stages on The Ed Sullivan Show, The Tonight Show, The Hollywood Palace, and countless others. In 1968, she starred on Broadway in Mame, later appearing in Kiss Me Kate, The King and I, and Can Can. She performed at the Oscars, at presidential events, and alongside music legends. Jane Morgan lived to be 101, but for those who loved her, her presence will live on far beyond the span of years. Her voice, once heard in Parisian nightclubs and Broadway theaters, became a fixture in American homes, a sound that carried elegance, romance, and timeless charm. She died peacefully in her sleep on August 4, 2025 in Naples, Florida, under hospice care. Her family shared that her final moments were gentle, a reflection of the dignity she carried throughout her life. Born Florence Catherine Currier in Newton, Massachusetts, Jane was raised in a musical household. Her early training at Juilliard prepared her for opera, but her heart found its rhythm in cabarets and clubs. Paris embraced her first, where she became a sensation. Then America followed, welcoming her into its cultural fabric through television and stage. Her signature song, Fascination, released in 1957, became a global anthem of romantic nostalgia. With more than 40 albums in 5 languages, Jane Morgan's voice transcended borders and generations. She lit up The Ed Sullivan Show, The Tonight Show, and the Hollywood Palace. In 1968, she starred on Broadway in Mame, later appearing in Kiss Me Kate, The King and I, and Can. She performed at presidential events, the Oscars, and alongside music legends. In 1973, she stepped away from the spotlight to focus on her family with her husband, legendary music producer Jerry Weintraub. Their love endured decades, and even after his passing in 2015, Jane's influence continued to inspire. In 2011, she received a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame and sang Fascination once more, her voice still rich, still warm, still unmistakably hers. She is survived by her stepson Michael, her adopted daughters Jane and Jody, 6 grandchildren and 8 great-grandchildren. She was preceded in death by her daughter Julie and her husband Jerry. Jane Morgan's legacy is not just in the notes she sang, but in the grace she embodied. Her voice may have quieted, but its echo remains. Michael Lydon, the legendary writer who captured the heartbeat of 1960s rock, passed away on July 30, 2025, in Manhattan from complications of Parkinson's disease. He was 82. Michael wasn't just a journalist. He was a witness, a storyteller who chronicled the rise of rock and the loss of innocence during one of music's most explosive decades. His words didn't just describe, they resonated. They carried the rhythm of rebellion, the ache of transformation, and the soul of youth in bloom. Born on September 14, 1942 in Boston, Massachusetts, Michael grew up in a large Irish-American family. From an early age, he showed a passion for language and history, earning scholarships to top schools, including Yale, where he graduated in 1965. It was in the chaotic rhythm of the 60s that Michael found his true voice. He began with hard news reporting, but the music pulled him in. In London, he watched the British invasion unfold. Back in the U.S., he became one of the founding editors of Rolling Stone, helping shape how rock and roll was covered. He toured with the Grateful Dead. He stood in the crowd at Monterey Pop Festival. He witnessed the chaos of Altamont with the Rolling Stones. Through it all, he wrote with clarity, honesty, and soul. In the 1970s, Michael didn't just write about music, he lived it. He picked up a guitar, started performing, and formed a cabaret duo with his wife, Ellen Mandel. Together, they released albums blending pop, jazz, and theater on their own label. Over his lifetime, Michael published nearly 20 books. From biographies to cultural essays, his work on artists like Ray Charles and the Rolling Stones continues to resonate. He is survived by his wife Ellen, his daughter Shuna, and his brothers Peter and Christopher. Michael Lydon's legacy is more than the words he wrote. It's the spirit he captured, the sound of rebellion, of change, of youth in full bloom. He gave voice to the music. And in doing so, he helped define the soul of a generation. John Mia, the beloved actor who portrayed the hilariously stoic Brett Kobayashi on NBC's Superstore, passed away at the age of 83. His death was confirmed by fellow cast member Colton Dunn, though no cause or exact date was provided. With quiet eyes and perfect stillness, John could say more in a glance than most could in a monologue. Across 6 seasons and more than 100 episodes, he made Brett a quiet icon of modern sitcom television. On a show filled with big personalities and wild storylines, Brett, stoic, unbothered, and hilariously indifferent, was the anchor. John Mia's gift wasn't in lines spoken, but in presence. A simple look, a blink, the tilt of his head, and he delivered comedy in its purest, most economical form. His one and only line of dialogue, "Oh shit," during a tornado scene, remains one of Superstore's most memorable moments. Born Jonathan Yasushi Mia on August 8, 1941, in Los Angeles, he entered the entertainment world later in life and made an unforgettable mark. Though Brett was his only major screen role, that one character was more than enough to capture hearts. When Superstore gave Brett a fake death and tribute in Season 2, only to casually bring him back in Season 3, fans cheered, not from surprise, but from relief. Brett was simply too good to lose. Those who worked with Mia remembered him with warmth and gratitude. "He was a really awesome guy," Colton Dunn wrote. Irene White called him an incredible man. Michael Lydon remembered many fun conversations with someone who always brought calm to the chaos of the set. John Mia may not have had a long list of acting credits, but he had something far rarer: connection. He brought joy to millions by doing so little, and in that stillness, he became unforgettable. His legacy lives on in the silent pauses between punchlines, in the glances that speak louder than words, and in every fan who ever smiled just because Brett was there, quietly watching. Sally Bingham, acclaimed author, playwright, feminist, and unwavering voice of resistance, passed away on August 6, 2025 at her home in Santa Fe, New Mexico. She was 88. The cause was a stroke, her family confirmed. Born into one of Kentucky's most powerful media dynasties, Sally was never content to play the expected role. Her grandfather, Robert Worth Bingham, founded a publishing empire in 1918. Her father led the Courier-Journal and the Louisville Times to Pulitzer-winning heights. But Sally, educated at Radcliffe and shaped by the literary fires of New York, returned home in the 1970s, not to inherit power, but to confront it. She later captured that unraveling in her acclaimed memoir, Passion and Prejudice, a fearless excavation of family, gender, and power. Her literary life stretched far beyond memoir. She wrote novels, plays, essays, and biographies, many centering women history had sidelined or silenced. Her work pulsed with insight, tension, and clarity. From Milk of Paradise to Taken by the Shawnee, she turned her sharp gaze on both personal memory and historical myth. Her writing often outraged, sometimes unsettled, but always stirred thought. She once said she was tired of my own point of view, and so she kept writing through other voices and other lives. But her impact wasn't limited to the page. In 1984, she founded the Kentucky Foundation for Women, investing $10 million of her own wealth to support feminist artists. It was her way of building a world she had rarely seen, one that lifted women's stories instead of silencing them. Sally Bingham lived, as she wrote, unsparingly honest, relentlessly curious, and unwilling to be tamed. Her life was marked by courage, conviction, and a quiet but defiant grace. She is survived by her sons Barry and Christopher, 5 grandchildren, her sister Eleanor, and by generations of readers, writers, and artists who found through her the strength to stand up and tell their own truths. Ryne Sandberg, one of baseball's greatest all-around players and a beloved Chicago Cubs legend, passed away on July 28, 2025, at his home, surrounded by family after a courageous battle with metastatic prostate cancer. He was 65. His passing leaves a profound void in the world of baseball, where his name became synonymous with excellence, humility, and class. Over a 15-year career with the Cubs, Sandberg embodied the 5-tool ideal, combining power, speed, defensive brilliance, and unmatched work. 2 teenagers from The Hague, a shared love of sound. A garage, a guitar, and a dream. That's how it began, modest, local, electric. But what George Kooymans and his bandmate Rinus Gerritsen created would soon explode onto the world stage, rewriting the rules of European rock and leaving behind a legacy that roared across generations. Their breakthrough hit, Radar Love, wasn't just a song, it was a movement. A thunderous anthem that blared through car speakers, echoed in stadiums, and pulsed through airwaves from Amsterdam to Los Angeles. It was the kind of track that made you drive faster, feel deeper, live louder. And at the heart of it all was George, his guitar not just playing notes, but telling stories. Through songs like Twilight Zone and When the Lady Smiles, Kooymans helped shape the identity of European rock. His music was bold, cinematic, and fiercely alive. He wasn't just the man behind the riffs. He was a craftsman of emotion, a sonic architect who built tension, swagger, sorrow, and movement into every chord. His guitar work wasn't flashy, it was felt. It didn't demand attention. It earned it. Each note carried weight, each solo told a story. He played like he was speaking directly to your soul, and you listened, not just with your ears, but with your chest, your spine, your memory. Despite international success, George remained grounded. He was loyal to the band, devoted to the craft, and uninterested in fame for fame's sake. Golden Earring continued releasing music and touring into the 2010s, never chasing trends, always chasing truth. Their final studio album, Tits and Ass, topped charts in the Netherlands in 2012, a cheeky title but a serious testament to their enduring power. The band never officially said goodbye, because George never got the chance. Diagnosed with ALS in 2021, George faced the disease with quiet strength. He stepped away from performing, but never from music. Even as his body betrayed him, his spirit remained unshaken. He was still the man who made guitars speak, still the teenager from The Hague who believed sound could change the world. Now, as fans across the globe mourn his loss, the surviving members of Golden Earring are planning one final concert in January 2026. The proceeds will go toward ALS research, a tribute not just to the friend they've lost, but to the courage with which he faced the end. George Kooymans leaves behind a legacy not measured in hits alone, but in decades of loyalty, resilience, and the power of a single song to carry us through the miles. His music was made for the road, and now it rides with us forever. She once sang, "What doesn't kill you makes you stronger." But now, Kelly Clarkson faces a silence no song can truly mend. In the wake of her ex-husband Brandon Blackstock's passing, Kelly, America's original idol, stands at a crossroads between heartbreak and healing. Though their relationship ended in divorce, his absence marks more than a personal loss. It closes a chapter filled with love, children, and the complex, enduring threads of human connection. Kelly hasn't spoken publicly in sweeping statements. Instead, her quiet, grounded strength speaks volumes. She has always been that kind of artist, the kind who lets the music do the talking, who finds power in vulnerability, and who teaches us how to walk through fire with our voices intact and our hearts wide open. Born in Fort Worth, Texas, on April 24, 1982, Kelly Brian Clarkson grew up far from fame, but close to the raw ingredients that make a true artist: resilience, grit, and an unshakable sense of self. Raised in a modest, often turbulent home, music became her refuge and release. That voice, full of fire and fragility, carried her from obscurity to the national spotlight when she won the inaugural season of American Idol in 2002. But what followed was more than just a career. It was a transformation. Kelly's journey from pop-rock powerhouse to heartfelt talk show host and television judge has never followed a scripted path. Whether delivering chart-topping anthems like "Since You've Been Gone" or creating a safe, sincere space for human stories on The Kelly Clarkson Show, she has remained a symbol of authenticity in an industry that often rewards illusion. In her life and her music, Kelly Clarkson has always chosen truth, even when it hurt. And today, in the face of personal loss and quiet grief, she continues to teach us something few artists dare: how to stand in the silence and still sing. After the massive success of Breakaway, RCA Records pushed for a formula: more hits, more polish, less risk. But Kelly, always guided by authenticity, refused to be molded. Her third album, My December, was darker, raw, and entirely hers. It wasn't what executives wanted. She was told it wouldn't sell, but she released it anyway. Because to Kelly, music wasn't about mass appeal, it was about honesty. That same honesty made her a target. Critics questioned her choices. Industry insiders whispered, but fans listened, and they heard something rare: a woman singing not for approval, but for survival. Kelly's career has always been a balancing act between commercial success and personal truth. She's walked that tightrope with grace, even when the winds howled. Her fourth album, All I Ever Wanted, returned to a more radio-friendly sound, but even then, her voice carried the weight of experience. Tracks like Already Gone and Cry weren't just ballads, they were confessions. Then came Stronger in 2011, a declaration, a roar, a reminder that Kelly Clarkson wasn't just surviving, she was thriving. The title track became an anthem for anyone who had ever been broken and rebuilt. It won her another Grammy and solidified her place as one of the most powerful voices of her generation. But behind the accolades was a woman still navigating the complexities of fame, family, and identity. Her marriage to Brandon Blackstock brought new chapters, love, motherhood, and eventually heartbreak. Their divorce in 2020 was public, painful, and deeply personal. Yet through it all, Kelly remained open. She spoke about therapy, about growth, about the messy beauty of healing. She didn't hide the hurt. She transformed it. Her 2021 album, Chemistry, was a masterclass in emotional storytelling. It wasn't a breakup album, it was a human album. It explored the full spectrum of love and loss, from euphoria to devastation. Songs like Mine and Red Flag Collector weren't just cathartic, they were courageous. Kelly Clarkson has never been afraid to feel, and in doing so, she's given millions permission to do the same. As her music evolved, so did her platform. In 2019, The Kelly Clarkson Show premiered, a daytime talk show that felt less like a production and more like a conversation. Kelly brought her signature warmth, humor, and empathy to every episode, creating a space where stories mattered and people felt seen. She didn't just interview celebrities. She connected with teachers, nurses, survivors, dreamers. She sang with them, cried with them, celebrated them. Her show became a reflection of her heart, a place where authenticity wasn't just welcomed, it was required. In a media landscape often dominated by spectacle, Kelly offered sincerity, and audiences responded. The show won multiple Daytime Emmy Awards and became a staple of daytime television. But even as her career soared, Kelly remained grounded. She spoke openly about parenting, about co-parenting, about the challenges of raising children in the public eye. Her love for River and Remington was never performative, it was palpable. She made it clear, they were her priority, her purpose, her anchor. And now, in the wake of Brandon's passing, that love shines even brighter. Her decision to step back from her Las Vegas residency to be fully present for her children wasn't just a personal choice. It was a public statement. A reminder that even icons need space to grieve, to heal, to hold their children close. Kelly Clarkson has always been more than a voice. She's been a mirror, reflecting the complexities of life with honesty and grace. What makes Kelly Clarkson's legacy so extraordinary isn't just her talent, it's her truth. She didn't rise to fame by chasing trends. She rose by being herself. And in a world that often demands masks, she chose transparency. She gave us songs to scream in our cars, to cry to in our bedrooms, to heal with in our darkest hours. She gave us laughter, vulnerability, and strength. She gave us herself. From the quiet girl in Texas to the powerhouse on global stages, Kelly Clarkson's journey has been one of transformation, not just of sound, but of soul. And now, as she walks through another chapter of loss and love, she continues to teach us what it means to live with courage. To sing through sorrow, to speak even when it hurts. Kelly Clarkson isn't just an artist, she's a testament to resilience, to authenticity, to the power of a voice that refuses to be silenced. George Kooymans didn't just play guitar, he sculpted sound. His riffs weren't just catchy, they were cinematic. They told stories of rebellion, romance, and the restless spirit of youth. And though Golden Earring's fame stretched across continents, George never lost sight of the roots that grounded him. He remained loyal to the band, to the music, and to the fans who saw themselves in every lyric. Even as ALS slowly took away his ability to perform, he never stopped being a musician. His final years were marked not by silence, but by the quiet hum of legacy. Songs still played, memories still shared, lives still touched. The upcoming tribute concert in January 2026, organized by the surviving members of Golden Earring, will be more than a farewell. It will be a celebration of endurance, of artistry, and of the man who helped define the sound of a generation. All proceeds will go toward ALS research, a final act of generosity from a band that never stopped giving. George Kooymans leaves behind more than platinum records. He leaves behind a roadmap for how to live with passion, how to create with purpose, and how to face the end with courage. His music was made for the road, and now it rides with us, forever, from the quiet strength of Blackstock to the cosmic calm of Jim Lovell. From the glamour of Loni Anderson to the soulful defiance of Terry Reid. From the elegance of Jane Morgan to the journalistic fire of Michael Lydon. From the silent brilliance of John Mia to the fearless voice of Sally Bingham. From the diamond-studded career of Ryne Sandberg to the thunderous riffs of George Kooymans. And through it all, the unwavering heart of Kelly Clarkson. Each story in this tapestry is a thread of legacy, woven with love, resilience, and the kind of truth that doesn't fade. These are not just obituaries. They are tributes, testaments, echoes. They remind us that greatness isn't always loud. Sometimes it's found in a glance, a lyric, a quiet act of defiance. Sometimes it's in the way someone shows up for their children, for their art, for their truth. They remind us that fame is fleeting, but impact endures. And they remind us that behind every public figure is a private life, full of laughter, heartbreak, and the kind of moments that never make headlines but shape everything. Over the years, media outlets dissected her body as if it were public property. Headlines obsessed over her weight more than her voice. But Kelly stood firm. She didn't retreat. She reclaimed the narrative. With candor and conviction, she spoke openly about body image, mental health, and the crushing expectations placed on women in the spotlight. In interviews, on her talk show, and through her lyrics, she reminded millions, your worth isn't measured by a number. Your value isn't defined by a headline, and your voice, especially the one inside, is sacred. Kelly has spoken candidly about her struggles with depression, not as a spectacle, but as solidarity. Her vulnerability broke stigmas. Her honesty became a lifeline for others. She didn't just sing through pain. She gave others permission to speak theirs. Perhaps her most personal trial came in 2020, when her marriage to Blackstock began to unravel. After nearly 7 years together, the separation turned into a high-profile, emotionally draining divorce. It played out in the press, but for Kelly, it played out at home. As a mother of 2 trying to protect her children while rebuilding her sense of self, she did what she's always done. She turned pain into music. Her album Chemistry didn't just tell a story of heartbreak. It captured the complexity of love, loss, survival, and transformation. On stage and off, she never pretended to be unshaken. She simply showed what it meant to keep singing through the storm. Through it all, Kelly Clarkson never lost her light. She became it, not despite the hardships, but because of how she carried them, with grace, with grit, and always with a song. In 2013, Kelly married Blackstock, a music manager and the stepson of country legend Tyre. Their union seemed like a perfect harmony, 2 lives rooted in music, both understanding the pressures of public life. Together, they built a family, welcoming River Rose in 2014 and Remington Alexander in 2016. Motherhood changed Kelly profoundly. She often said that becoming a mom didn't just give her purpose. It softened her, deepened her compassion, and made her fiercely protective of her children's emotional world. But as life often does, it introduced heartbreak alongside joy. In 2020, Kelly filed for divorce. The separation was difficult and widely publicized, a personal rupture made visible to the world. Yet through the pain, she never let go of her dignity. She focused on healing, co-parenting, and creating a safe, loving environment for her children. Winning primary custody of River and Ramai, she made a bold choice to relocate to New York, not for fame, but for a fresh start. In her new home, she crafted a life centered on her kids, her talk show, and a renewed sense of independence. The Kelly Clarkson Show became more than a platform for entertainment. It became a space for wisdom, laughter, and real conversations. Often drawn from her own experiences as a single mom, Kelly used the show to connect, to comfort, and to uplift. Beyond her immediate family, Kelly has always honored the people who helped raise and shape her. She credits her mother, Jean Ann, for teaching her resilience and honesty. Her sister, Alyssa, and brother, Jason, remain some of her closest allies, a chosen family rooted not in appearances, but in unconditional support. In every chapter of her life, Kelly has prioritized authenticity. Whether she's performing in front of thousands or reading bedtime stories to her children, she brings the same unwavering truth to the moment. Family to her isn't a backdrop. It's the reason, the rhythm, and the refuge. Despite fame, heartbreak, and the relentless churn of the entertainment industry, Kelly Clarkson's most profound achievement may be this: building a life of integrity, love, and laughter. One where her children are not raised by her career, but by her heart. What began with a Texas girl holding tight to her dreams in a modest home has blossomed into one of the most inspiring and multifaceted careers in American entertainment. As of 2025, Kelly Clarkson's estimated net worth hovers between $45 to $50 million, but those numbers only scratch the surface of what she's built. Her true wealth lies not in the music she's released or the stages she's conquered, but in the lives she's touched, the industries she's quietly disrupted, and the example she continues to set for resilience. Her income flows from many streams: music, television, publishing, brand partnerships. But at the center is a creative soul who has never stopped evolving. Her debut single, A Moment Like This, may have introduced her to the world, but it was her decision to forge her own path, often against industry expectations, that secured her place in it. The Kelly Clarkson Show has become more than a daytime talk show. It's a safe space for honest conversations, laughter, music, and healing. Through it, Kelly doesn't just entertain, she connects. She comforts. She allows herself and others to be seen. And with that, she earns not only high ratings, but something rarer: trust. Her role as a coach on The Voice brought her back to the roots of mentorship, empowering aspiring artists in the same way others once empowered her. Each contestant, each rehearsal, each performance reminded audiences that success isn't just about winning, it's about becoming. Beyond the spotlight, Kelly has authored best-selling children's books like the River Rose series, a love letter to her daughter and a creative bridge to parents everywhere. She's launched fashion lines, partnered in home decor ventures, and built a quiet but strategic presence in real estate, with properties in Montana, Los Angeles, and New York. Each venture is a chapter in her ever-changing story, and what makes her business empire remarkable isn't the scale, it's the soul. Kelly has never compromised who she is to fit a mold. Every project reflects her authenticity, built not on perfection but on persistence. In a world that often measures success by numbers, Kelly Clarkson reminds us that legacy is built by heart, and her beats loud, clear, and unapologetically real. Behind the Grammy-winning vocals and commanding stage presence lives a woman whose truest measure is found not in fame, but in the lives she's uplifted when no cameras were rolling. For Kelly Clarkson, philanthropy isn't a side note to her success. It's woven into the very rhythm of her journey. Throughout her career, she's remained a fierce and visible advocate for education, women's safety, and mental health. Drawing from her own experiences growing up in a broken home and navigating the pressures of the spotlight, she's channeled her empathy into action. Her voice, once the symbol of a rising star, became a shield for the vulnerable. She's long used her platform to fight domestic violence and promote women's rights, speaking out in support of shelters and safe spaces across the country. Not merely a celebrity supporter, Kelly often donates quietly, helping survivors rebuild their lives with dignity and hope. As an ambassador for organizations like March of Dimes, Save the Children, and UNICEF, she's lent more than just her name. From public campaigns to boots-on-the-ground visits, she shows up with sincerity, giving her time, her music, and her story to causes close to her heart. When natural disasters struck, Hurricane Katrina, California wildfires, or the COVID-19 pandemic, Kelly didn't just issue statements. She organized benefit concerts, raised funds, and encouraged her audience to look beyond fear and into solidarity. Her special televised performances during lockdown were more than entertainment. They were moments of collective healing. On The Kelly Clarkson Show, she transformed daytime television into a space where LGBTQ+ youth, neurodivergent children, and underserved communities could be seen, heard, and celebrated. From surprise donations to heartfelt interviews, every gesture felt personal, because to her, it was. But perhaps the most powerful part of Kelly's philanthropy is how organic it is. She doesn't perform generosity, she lives it. Whether it's mentoring young artists, donating school supplies, or amplifying the stories of those silenced, she acts not from obligation, but from conviction. In a world often dominated by headlines and highlights, Kelly Clarkson reminds us that true greatness isn't just about what you achieve, it's about what you give back. Her music may have topped charts, but it's her humanity that continues to echo far beyond the stage. Kelly Clarkson is more than the first winner of American Idol. She is its most lasting symbol, not of overnight fame, but of how raw talent, resilience, and authenticity can shape a cultural movement. In a world often distracted by trends, Kelly stood firm in her identity. She didn't chase the spotlight, she became it. And in doing so, she gave us more than music. She gave us truth, she gave us courage. She gave us herself. Her voice, bold, soaring, unfiltered, didn't just win a competition. It redefined what mainstream pop could sound like. With hits like Since You've Been Gone, Because of You, and Stronger, Kelly Clarkson carved out a space where emotion met empowerment, giving rise to a new blueprint for the modern pop anthem. This signature style, now known as power pop balladry, is marked by explosive choruses, emotional transparency, and an almost spiritual release. Through it, Kelly created a bridge between pop's accessibility and rock's defiant soul. Her vocal delivery was never safe. It was gutsy, urgent, unapologetic, as if she were fighting for every word. And in doing so, she fought for millions who didn't know how to speak their truth. Her influence echoes in the voices of Demi Lovato, Halsey, Olivia Rodrigo, and countless others, artists who cite Kelly not just as a musical influence, but as permission. Permission to be both vulnerable and fierce, mainstream yet rebellious, polished yet raw. But her impact doesn't stop at the microphone. With the Kelly Clarkson Show, she ushered in a new kind of celebrity, one that listens, laughs, cries, and sings with her audience, not at them. It's a daytime talk show without pretense, a space where kindness leads and vulnerability isn't edited out but embraced. In a media landscape hungry for drama, Kelly offered humanity. She also helped redefine what it means to win. For many, reality TV was once seen as fleeting. But Kelly shattered that perception. 2 decades later, she is not a product of a format. She is the exception who transcended it, turning a single audition into a global career and cultural legacy. Through her music, her words, her presence, Kelly Clarkson has become an emblem of staying power. Her legacy is not built on spectacle, but on something rarer: truth, voice, and the courage to evolve without losing one's soul. In a pop culture defined by reinvention, Kelly has remained unmistakably herself. And in doing so, she has changed what it means to be a star, forever. For Kelly Clarkson, reinvention has never been about erasing the past. It's about transforming pain into purpose, melodies into meaning, and survival into strength. After a period marked by personal upheaval and emotional reckoning, 2023 marked the beginning of a new chapter, one that was deeply honest, artistically mature, and unapologetically hers. Her album Chemistry wasn't just a return to music. It was a testament of vulnerability, a post-divorce confession layered with hurt, hope, longing, and liberation. Songs like Mine and Red Flag Collector didn't disguise heartbreak, they dissected it. And in doing so, Kelly didn't just process her pain, she gave others permission to process theirs. Chemistry was more than an album. It was therapy set to music. A landmark moment that showcased her evolution not only as an artist, but as a woman who had found her voice again on her own terms. True to her spirit, Kelly isn't only focused on herself. She is now nurturing the next generation of artists, quietly building a legacy behind the scenes. Through her own imprint and mentorship efforts, she's offering young talents not just opportunity, but protection, the kind she once had to fight for herself. In an industry often defined by compromise, she is determined to create a space where authenticity comes first. Her creative energy also flows into Kellyoke, the beloved segment from the Kelly Clarkson show that showcases her stunning vocal versatility. What began as a daily musical treat for fans is now evolving into a standalone live show experience, where Kelly dreams of fusing covers, storytelling, and audience interaction into something intimate and electric. A tour not just of music, but of shared memories. She has also hinted at writing a memoir, one that would trace her journey through fame, heartbreak, healing, and motherhood. A guide for anyone navigating their own storms. It won't be about being perfect, it will be about being real. And in typical Kelly fashion, it will likely be equal parts tears, laughter, grit, and grace. This new chapter is not about rebuilding, it's about becoming. Kelly Clarkson stands today not just as an entertainer, but as a storyteller, mentor, survivor, and dreamer. And the story she's writing now might just be her most powerful yet. She is not just a voice. She is a presence, one that has endured storms, danced through joy, stumbled through heartbreak, and still stood tall with an unshakable sense of authenticity. In a world that often rewards performance over truth, she has remained unwaveringly herself, a rare and resilient force. From the very first moment America heard her sing on a small stage audition in 2002, to now commanding stages around the world, Kelly has defied expectations. Her journey has never been one of smooth ascension. It has been rugged, real, and profoundly human. She didn't simply become a pop star. She became a mirror, a reflection for millions who have battled insecurity, heartbreak, and the pressure to be someone else. She didn't ask for perfection. She offered presence. Her ability to balance contradiction is what makes her unforgettable. She is the fierce voice behind empowerment anthems, yet also the gentle narrator of heartbreak ballads. She is as comfortable barefoot in a studio as she is hosting daytime television in couture. She is a mother, a fighter, a storyteller, and a friend to strangers who feel seen through her songs. But perhaps Kelly's greatest legacy is not just her music or her accolades. It is her emotional fluency. Her honesty in a time of masks, her willingness to evolve out loud. She has shown that strength isn't about never falling. It's about standing up with grace and humor and saying, "This is who I am today, and that's enough." She gave the world more than hit singles. She gave it a soundtrack to healing. She gave people the courage to speak, sing, cry, laugh, and begin again. Her story is not about fame, it's about freedom, the freedom to live truthfully, to parent with love, to create with intention, to walk away when something no longer serves you, and to find again and again the strength to begin a new song. Kelly Clarkson will forever remain a symbol of what happens when talent meets truth, and when a girl from Texas dares to sing her heart out, no matter who's listening.